This is my code for the final project. I used the example movement project for help with the class file for the movement, and it was very helpful. So first we declare our variable for player response, current room number, player name, and then create the array of rooms with 15 slots. Then we define the slots in the way that they can move between each other, and that was all figured out when I did my map, so it was just copying down the right numbers, and that's what I had help with from the movement project example. And then is the long part where I describe everything about each individual room for 15 rooms. And then if we peek over here, we have several different variables, strings, declared for each room. We have a room name, description, look around for more details, and an act. And so I wrote all of this stuff for 15 rooms, and then we go right into the game loop with what's written first, and then setting the player name variable, and then the main while loop, which is just while the player response is not exit. So for the entire game, this is what runs. First, every single cycle, the game tells you which room you're in, and then it has a line break, and it asks what you want to do with your name and a line break. It made it very hard to read without these line breaks included. And then the player response is set to whatever the player types in, and the options are what's defined in this switch here. So you can go up, down, left, and right. You can go inside for a description, look around, or act. And of course, you can't do that here if they type something else. And then clears the console, very useful. And then, of course, if the player types an exit, then they get a goodbye message. And then we have the switch, which determines what happens after a player's response. So it's just taking the player response. And each case in here is actually has an if-else statement inside as well. Because I had to test both what the player types in and then also if they're allowed to move that way. So if they type an up and if they can move, then they do move that way. Otherwise, it writes you cannot go that way. I imagine there's something less repetitive to take care of that else, but I couldn't figure anything out, so I just left it in there. So if they can move in that direction, then they do it. And then down here, after all of the different ways to move, we have the other actions, which are declared over here. If they type look around, then it looks up that room's look around. If they type go inside, it looks up that room's description. If they type act, it looks up that room's action. And it says you can't do that here if they type in something else. And that's it. Then in the class file for the rooms, it's not much different than in the example project. We declared all the strings, the name of the room, the description, the look around, and the act that we used in here. And then the constructor, where we have each direction that the player could move from that room. And so this part's pretty simple. And that's all my code.